Hi, this is the Bible-Touchstone, and this is a introduction to the full-preterist view on the 1,000-year reign in Revelation chapter 20. Full-preterism may be characterized as post-millennial, but usually just amillennial, if the first set of the 1,000 years begins before Christ came. Take the traditional Reformed amill position, which postulates that the 1,000 years begins somewhere during Christ's first appearing, and then posit that Christ reappeared after that in that same generation. The first century firstfruits were special in that they reigned with Christ, and see that's in Matthew chapter 19 verse 28, Luke chapter 22 verse 30, Romans chapter 8 23, Ephesians chapter 2 5 to 7, Colossians chapter 2 12 to 15, James 1 18, Revelation 5 9 to 10, and 12 10 to 11, 14 verse 4, and of course chapter 20 verses 4 to 6. Before the resurrection at Christ's parousia, or appearing, at the end of the old age. 2 Thessalonians 2:2 and 2 Timothy 2:15 to 18, and also see 1 Peter chapter 1 verses 3 to 5 suggest that the resurrection prophesied by the Old Testament prophets was still future, even though the first fruits of that resurrection had been symbolically risen with Christ, who was the first fruit from the dead. See 1 Corinthians chapter 15:20, 15:23, Romans chapter 8:11, Colossians chapter 1:18, 1 Peter 1-3, Revelation 1 verse 5, 2 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 7, and Galatians 3:29. Christ's physical resurrection was a sufficient outward sign and absolute fulfillment of the wave offering from the Old Testament. The first century saints, including the empowered apostles and those who would be martyred for the testimony of Christ, had an earthly commission but fought against enemies in high places. See Romans chapter 16 verse 20, Ephesians chapter 3 10 to 13, and 6 verse 12. The 1,000 years includes Christ's binding of Satan and the coming of the kingdom. See Matthew chapter 12:28, Luke chapter 10:18, 11:20, and 17:21. And also, this also includes the spread of the gospel. Romans chapter 16:25 says, "Now to him who is able to establish you according to my gospel and the preaching of Jesus Christ, according to the revelation of the mystery kept secret since the foundation of the world began, that now is made manifest by the prophetic scriptures made known to all nations, according to the commandment of the everlasting God, for the obedience of faith." Now, the prophecy of Matthew 24:14, where it says that the gospel must be spread to all nations before Christ came, and the commission given to the apostles in Mark 16 verse 15 were fulfilled in the first century emerging church by the Acts of the Apostles. Though some futurists doubt the fulfillment of this scripture-confirmed accomplishment, this truth is essential to understanding the influence of the gospel and its role in redemptive history. See Romans chapter 1 verse 8, chapter 10 verse 18, 2 Corinthians chapter 9 9 to 13, Colossians 1 5 to 6, Colossians chapter 1 23, and also see Acts 2 5, which confirm that the gospel has been spread to the whole world, and even in the first century when the Bible was being compiled and closed the canon. I identify more of the amillennial position interpretation. In some respects, this full-preterist view is also technically post-millennial, since this has been fulfilled. And as always, grace be to you.